A security guard sat down, looked straight at the camera and said, "We found bodies in there, more than once. Do you remember the last time you walked through a mall and felt completely safe?" Because the people who worked inside this one didn't. Stick with me, because in just a few minutes, I'm going to take you inside one of America's most disturbing mall stories. A place that went from 50,000 visitors every weekend to a building so dangerous, even the cops didn't want to go in alone. And what I discovered about the final days of this mall. That's something I still can't get out of my head. I want you to close your eyes for just a second. Think back. Maybe it's the 1970s, maybe the 80s. You're walking through those big glass doors and the smell hits you first. Cinnamon, soft pretzels, that department store perfume counter. The arcade is loud with sounds. Kids are running. Fountains are splashing. Your mom is dragging you toward Sears and you're pulling toward the toy store. That was Owings Mills Mall in Maryland. For a whole generation of Baltimore families, this wasn't just a mall. This was the place. My dad took me there every single Saturday. We'd split a pretzel by the fountain and I'd beg him for one more quarter at the arcade. I can still hear those sounds. I still remember the way light poured through those big skylights. I never imagined that one day this place would become somewhere people were genuinely afraid to enter. When Owings Mills opened in 1986, it was a true landmark. Over 130 stores. A bustling food court, a movie theater, anchor stores including Macy's, Sears, and J.C. Penney all under one roof. On a good weekend, 40,000 to 50,000 people walked through those doors. Families from all across Baltimore County made this their Saturday tradition. It felt permanent, like it would always be there. And what happened to Macy's here is something I'll get to in just a moment. Because the way they left didn't just hurt the mall, it triggered everything that came after. By the mid-2000s, something had shifted. Crime reports were climbing fast. Fights broke out regularly in the food court. Security calls went out almost every single weekend. Older shoppers and families started staying away. Then Macy's announced they were leaving. Then J.C. Penney followed. Store after store pulled out, not because business was bad nationally, but because this specific location had simply become too dangerous. And then something happened that nobody talked about publicly for years. A former security guard who worked there in the final years came forward and said, "We found people who had passed away in the back corridors. Homeless individuals who had moved in after hours." It happened more than once. Management didn't want it reported loudly. They just handled it quietly. Can you imagine? A mall your family visited every single weekend. And in its dying years, people were living and dying inside its walls. By 2015, vacancy signs hung in more windows than store logos. The lights across entire wings had simply been switched off forever. In 2016, it closed permanently. But that's not even the strangest part. Urban explorers who got inside in those final months described something deeply unsettling. Ceilings had collapsed in sections. Water stains ran down the walls like dark veins. Old store signage still hung, Foot Locker, Bath and Body Works, as if the stores had just stepped out for a moment and were coming right back. In the food court, chairs were still arranged around tables. Trays were still stacked near the counters, like everyone simply got up and walked away mid-meal. And eeriest of all, in one section of the mall, music was still playing. A looping mall soundtrack echoing through empty corridors, bouncing off broken tiles, filling a space where thousands of people once laughed and lived their Saturday afternoons. One explorer wrote, "It felt like the mall didn't know it was dead yet." The building was demolished in 2017. Most people drive past that land today without a second thought. But underneath in the soil are 30 years of Saturday memories, echoes of arcade games, the ghost of a cinnamon, a fountain where kids once threw pennies and made wishes. Owings Mills wasn't just a building. It was a ritual, a place where childhoods happened, where teenagers had their first dates, where elderly couples walked laps for exercise every single morning. That security guard said one final thing before his interview ended. People think malls are just stores, but they're not. They're where people go when they need to feel like part of something. And maybe that's exactly why it hurts so much when they disappear. So I want to ask you, what mall did you grow up in? What is the one memory you still carry with you? Drop it in the comments below because this community wants to hear it. This mall isn't coming back, but our memories, those are forever.